And this is going to sound quite scary for you right now, yeah? The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran whatsoever. It's found in the Sunnah, and in fact, if you look just at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old.
No.
And I'll tell you why. And I'll give you, hold on. I'm saying this and I'm going to back it up with evidences. Let me repeat my point. We both agree that it's haram and it's wrong to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. Okay, good. My premise today, my thesis today is as follows. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all, but is in fact found in the Sunnah. Okay, and listen, if you just read the Quran, it is halal, it would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. Tell me how and why. In Surah Al-Talaq, chapter 65, verse 4, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us who you can divorce and who you cannot divorce. And then he says, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ, and the ones who had never been pubescent before.
Okay, what was that, Surah 16?
Surah Talaq, chapter 65, verse 4. وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ. Now the word lam in Arabic, it's what you call harfu nahi lil madi, which means that it's something, a negative term for the past tense. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever is not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say? It's not because of puberty, because that verse in the Quran actually says lam yahid. They never had puberty before. You can't go around that. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with those people is because of harm. The hadith says la darar wa la dirar. And I've said before, the reason why is because of the Sunnah, not because of the Quran. Now the point is this. The Quran doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that the woman has to be pubescent. Why? Because you can have a 16-year-old, it's possible. You can have a 16-year-old pre-pubescent, it's possible. You can, in Islam 15 is the max. But in this country, 16, it's conceivable to find a 16-year-old woman who's, for example, hasn't menstruated yet. It is conceivable, although it's very unlikely, right? The point is this. In the Islamic discourse, the reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with categories of people, whether it be a 100-year-old woman if you're 30, or a 5-year-old girl if you're 30, yeah, is because of the harm, both psychological and physical, that you'll be causing them. Now I dare you now, you're a Quran alone guy, I dare you to find one verse in the Quran where it says you're not allowed to marry someone based on harm, or you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse based on harm, or you're not allowed to marry someone based on puberty. If you do that, I will take my point back. It doesn't. So that makes it halal then. It makes it halal. So if you're a Quran alone, you're allowed to have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds.
Because it tells you who you...
Get me one verse in the Quran which says the woman has to be pubescent.
No.
One verse.
Let me finish. The criteria for what marriage should be based on. Not what it should be.
I want one verse in the Quran from the beginning of the book to the end of the book which says that she has to be pubescent.
I've just said that.
So okay, so that makes it halal from your perspective.
No, it doesn't.
From your perspective, it's halal.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Because the criteria for marriage is defined in the Quran.
Where?
What should be a marriage?
And where does it say pubescent? Where does it say puberty is not?
Firstly, foremostly, she should have the same belief as you. How can a 5-year-old girl that doesn't know the difference?
Bro, I don't agree with that. We both say it's haram.
Know what belief is.
Okay, fine.
So why would I marry a 5-year-old? So the criteria is really
this doesn't make sense what you're saying. I want you to find me one thing in the Quran.
The criteria, Allah tells you what is for marriage, not what is not for marriage.
Kamrul. You know in the Quran it says, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ. It says you're not allowed to marry your mum. It says you're not allowed to marry your sister, your auntie. Where does it say you're not allowed to marry
believes the way that you believe.
prepubescent?
If you're a Shia, you marry a Shia. If you're a Sunni, then you look for a woman who believes in a Sunni.
Listen, I'm not getting an answer here, my friend.
I am, it's from the Quran.
No, but you're not getting me a direct verse in the Quran. I want a direct verse. I want a direct verse. Go on.
There is nowhere in the Quran where Allah says a pure man for a pure woman.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
that's a straw man argument.
No, it's not.
I want a direct answer to my question here. I've just said the criteria for why we're not allowed to marry prepubescent, so let's say women that can't deal with it, is harm. That comes from the Sunnah. Now, the only verse in the Quran is وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Don't cause your own harm to your own self. but it doesn't say anything about causing harm to others. So if you're Quran alone, you're steered towards pedophilia, and a severe type of pedophilia, a wife abuse, a severe type of wife abuse, and in fact, let me tell you something else.